Transition awareness breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition awareness breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
So, if we were caterpillars and this was our cocoon, that means in springtime we would all be butterflies. We went through a transition. Welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. This is Eartha. Thank you for joining me in our third series about transitioning. We are going through a change. We have, careful, made a commitment to not go back to where we came before. Sometimes things may change, and that's okay. But before another piece of change cracks, I would like to thank Web Talk Radio for allowing me to have a platform here to bring Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast to you. Thank you, my producers, Mary Lou and Sam, for making Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast available to you where you're at right now. On the bike, at the gym, in your house. We are here. We're going through this together. So, last time we talked about thinking about our change. And we left off with what is your default answer when you come across challenges? And they will happen. Why? Because we are breaking out of something that we had been in before. So now let's move on. One thing we're not going to do, we're not going to stop. We're going to continue our transition. It's like this. We start a new year. We're so motivated. Everyone has wished old lang syne. You know, the traditional song, the ball drops, the sprinkles and all. Everybody's doing all kind of Happy New Year stuff. And then it's over. Time to get back to work. Why is it like that? Why does it seem like it's a sport? We are changing, which means we're going to bring that excitement, that motivation with us every day. It's not just 1 month of hype. We're going to take our time, because when we go through this transition, this is going to be life-changing. And so that's why we're taking this transition process one step at a time, right? And as we go through this, I'm also sharing challenges that I'm going through as I go through my transition and sharing it with you. A story. When I was little, this might sound strange, I had a fear of rubber bands and rubber stretching balloons. And I didn't realize I had that fear until, I don't know, somebody asked me to blow a balloon, and it's like, no, I don't want to. But the fear was, when that rubber is expanding, it always seemed to snap back and give me a pop. And that hurt. And so I associated the rubber band stretching and stretching. And I already anticipated the snap back. Blowing a balloon. All I could see was the rubber expanding and expanding. And either I would get so anxious that I would just let the air out, or it would blow and it would pop, snap. But then, as I got more experience and I realized, I think it was at some child's birthday party, or maybe it was when I was in nursing school, and could have been college or something, and we were having balloons. Yeah. And, everybody had to chip in to blow balloons, and I didn't want to participate because I didn't want to get snapped. And then someone, they just didn't make a big deal of it. You don't have to blow it so hard. And everybody had a little trick. You had to stretch it out, whatever. And it was until that time that I had to face my fear. I had to admit that this blowing up the balloon or dealing with, rubber bands, this was kind of, in a way, was interfering with part of my life. I mean, it wasn't a big deal, but I didn't like the feeling that I got when, the balloons came out, or, can you help? And I didn't want to say no because I don't like blowing the balloons. So that was the first part, was facing the fear. The second part was allowing someone to offer suggestions and being open and willing to maybe try some of the suggestions. And if after trying the suggestions, if I still didn't want to deal with the balloons, it was a choice. I'm so glad that they have those little pumps that you can blow up balloons now, or better yet, you just, go to your local grocery store. But at least right now, if I have to blow up a balloon, I still have a little hesitation, but I know it's a choice. That if it blows and it pops, it's no big deal. That's like changing. It's like facing our transition challenges. We will have different situations that will trigger certain habits that we used to have. Remember, we're going through a transition. And so let's talk a little bit about habits. Habits are things that have been formed over a period of time. You can have positive habits, and you can have habits that, may I use the word, destructive. Destructive meaning that it adds no positive value to your self-esteem or your lifestyle. And that's how I am defining destructive habits. When we have habits, and they can be anything, array of anything, and we're ready to change when the habit is starting to interfere with our positive lifestyle, our positive thoughts. Sometimes there are habits that we are not even aware that we have. When I began to teach, one of the things that all of our instructors did for us student teachers was, we had to be recorded and videoed. Well, now, if you thought you didn't have any habits, watch yourself for the first time trying to teach a subject that you are not familiar with. That is a very humbling experience, and it's very uncomfortable. And so admitting that you have a habit, or being open to discover and realize the habit that you have. And I think part of the incentive is the willingness and the determination that I have to get through this. I am not going to let this habit or any other habit hold me back from going forward. So if we talk about the rubber band or the balloons, but let me stick with the rubber band. That rubber band, when you pull that rubber band and you stretch it back, the momentum that you're stretching it back, and then you let go of it, as long as you get your fingers in the way, you get snapped. Well, if you get snapped, then you made a mistake. You learn how to keep your fingers out the way. But you pull that rubber band back, and then it propels forward. It propels forward to new levels that you may not even imagine. My son, when he was small, he'd get a rubber band, and he's flicking the rubber band all over the place. It's an example. Something that we have to change may pull us back when we're trying to change our habit. But realize that that change, that uncomfortableness that you may seem that's drawing you down and in an uncomfortable position, that when you replace that negative destructive habit with a positive habit, you are going to propel yourself forward so far that you're going to forget about the negative habit. Easier said, right? Of course, I'm sure you're saying that. Yeah, sure. A habit, biting the fingernails for whatever reason. Now, I'm going to say, since we have been in a COVID environment, keeping my hands away from my mouth is a very high priority. And I think for a lot of people, keeping the hands away from the mouth, washing the hands. We see signs. We're teaching our children, keep your hands away from your face. Wash your hands. It's a habit that is changing and it's being replaced by a new behavior. The new behavior is keeping the hands away from the face, washing the hands. You see how it's working? A habit. You choose. But then replace it with a positive behavior, a positive habit. And so sometimes we have to use certain things to help us keep that positive habit, because we'll get back into the habit and we don't even know it. Visualization helps. Maybe having a visual picture or an image around your house or your favorite spot to remind you of the positive behavior. Maybe even writing your positive goal, your positive behavior down. Telling someone, telling your loved one, telling a friend, sharing, the next time you go in for a checkup or something, share your new goal, your new desired habit with your healthcare professional. Oh yeah. You know why? Because that verbalization of what you want to change is going to cause you to have a sense of accountability. Now you can say it and then not do it. But then for most people, maybe you'll have that little voice in your head saying, you remember you told so-and-so that you're not going to do that anymore. And that is an accountability that we all need. Because when we're changing and we're transitioning, remember, this is no small thing that we're doing. This is a big, big thing. And so treat yourself like you are an Olympic competitor and you're training for a big event, a new life-changing event. That's the way I kind of like to think of it. And instead of me thinking about the rubber popping me, I'm going to dance on those strings. I'm going to use that rubber to make music. And you know what? Yeah, the glass that's crashing, that's going to be the crashing of victory. That's all those old habits breaking. And you know what? That is going to be the new you for 2021 and beyond. This is our training year. This is going to be a new us. Come back. And I got one more episode for you. Thank you for joining me on Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy, unlock new creative paths, transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.